evening. Going live a little early just to make sure we actually getting sound. So bear with me for a second. I'm not sure what the delay is. Okay, just confirm that you can hear. We're going to get ready for it in a few seconds here. Just checking, I can hear volume. Not sure if I have the right mic going, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I know you can. Okay. All right. Good evening. I'm Steve Mazzacane, and we are great to be here. This is a really big night, and actually, if you look at what Brantford has done over the last 12 years, it's the first time we're really facing. Cosgrove went into most of his elections as significant favorites, and for the first time, we have an open seat, and that announcement really opened the door for other people to run. I can tell you going into this election, both candidates for first selectman are good people. I've known them. I've covered them for the last 15 to 17 years. I have my opinions as to who'd be better to run the town and fiscally what have you. But we've written about those, we've talked about those. But tonight we're going to talk about a little bit of political strategy, what we're looking for in the numbers when they start coming in. We have a really, really big difference this year that we haven't had before, and that we had 2 weeks of early voting. And that's changed the game a little bit. We are seeing, based on the numbers I've seen so far, the early votes in the absentees come in just under 2,700 votes. So over those 2 weeks, and in absentees, 2,700 people voted. Typically, the early vote heavily favors the Democrats. So I would not be surprised if we see early numbers come in with Democrats with a pretty good lead once those numbers come in, and then Republicans will make up a significant amount of difference, if they do, on election day voting. That's typically what has happened in the past. It happened significantly in our presidential races in the past. Early voting typically supports and leans towards the Democratic voter. What we're also seeing is that we're seeing overall turnout be high, especially high for a local election. And this can be, depending on where you look at things, a good thing. Now, nationally, higher turnout generally means very good things for the Democrat. In the past, in Brantford, higher turnout has favored, Cosgrove has favored the Republican ticket. And we say the Republican ticket, Democratic ticket. Republican is basically the Cosgrove ticket. They're moderate Democrats, Republicans kind of mixed together in one large party. And so there's a lot of questions that I have on how did voters vote and what do they see in these candidates. Did Democrats all come out early? Did any Republicans come out early? We have two people who are known in town somewhat. One, Villette, is I would say far more known. He's been on the Rotary Club, and he's the head of the festival in the past, and he's the current head of the Fireworks Commission, and he's on the Board of Finance, so he's very well known, head of the IA Club, very, very popular guy. Josh Brooks is really known in Stony Creek. He's been on the RTM for 14 years out of the last 18 years. I don't know if he's part of a lot of different organizations, but he was part of Parks and Rec for years as a youth outreach guy, so he does know quite a few people in town. So early voting could have said, hey, listen, we know Jeff Villette, we're just going to vote for him, call it a day. Early voting could have said, hey, we hate Trump, we're just going to go vote for the Democrat. We're not really sure. In this race, it feels like Josh got going a little bit faster. He was doing videos, he was out there knocking on doors a little faster. Jeff really the last 2-3 weeks put together, I would say, the better finishing campaign all over social media. It knocked on 1 million doors, had a ton of people out there with them. So it's going to be really interesting to see come 8 o'clock what's going to happen. Now, the question we have with regards to what votes are coming in when is the first big question for me. So we have these 2,700 votes that have been early cast or absentees. And those will have likely already gone through the machine. They cannot release those totals, how those ballots will go, until 8 o'clock. If that is, let's say 27, let's suppose it's 1,700 to 1,000 Democrats, that's probably what I would expect. If it's closer than that, I think it favors the Republicans. If it's bigger than that, it favors the Democrats. So we might get that number faster. Those go to a central location. Later on, we'll figure out by district, what have you. You may get that faster. And then as the district numbers come in, those usually come in 8:15, 8:20, 8:30, and we add those together. I am at Republican headquarters. In front of me is a screen with an Excel, that will be an Excel spreadsheet. Those numbers will come up. I will tell you those numbers as they come in. We'll analyze them to kind of look at what they mean. The first numbers should come in, those early ballots. Again, if we see a huge discrepancy, if we see, Democrats took 80% of those, that's a really, really good sign for Democrats. That's going to hold up. If we see Democrats took 60% of those, that's probably a much better sign for Republicans that they're going to make that up early on. If it's tied, a huge thing for Republicans. What we do see in the districts are that some of the more traditional Republican districts, the districts that went really, really strongly for Jamie Cosgrove, had very high turnout. And the districts, the second and third, which are traditional Democratic strongholds, came in about normal. So it could be that the Democratic vote was a little suppressed. Maybe there was a lot of support for Jeff. That's one narrative. We're not sure yet. It also could be, and you have this blanket over all of these elections, especially local elections now, is what impact did Trump have? Was there this massive, we hate Trump, all Democrats show up, people who typically don't vote in local elections show up and say, we're voting for the Democrat because we don't like Donald Trump. That could be too. So we're trying to get a handle on what this increase in turnout really means. And we'll probably get an answer to that pretty quickly when we see how these early votes went. We're looking at some key votes. So usually I get this question a lot. Like the first thing comes in, Jamie Cosgrove would get, Stony Creek would come in, which is a typical Democratic area. They usually win Democrats 60-40. The RTM is usually 2-1 in favor of the Democrats in that district, right? If in the past it came back that Jamie Cosgrove won that, and that was our first result we got, we could call the race right then. Like, there is no way, if he won that district, if a Republican won Stony Creek, it's over, it's done, just go home. If we look at Stony Creek and say, this is really close, that's huge for Jeff Villette. He'll likely win the election, and he'll likely win it by a large margin. If that comes in and John Stony Creek, his own district, by a huge margin, that's really good for him. He needs that to happen. He needs to win Stony Creek and Short Beach by big margins. Remember something, in Brantford, Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1, but there's a large group of those Democrats who are really moderate Democrats. And I'm not sure why people are clapping. There are no results yet, so the polls are closing right now. Maybe that's what they're clapping for. Unfortunately, it's going to get loud in here at certain times. I'll try to speak. Hopefully you hear me. If there's any issues hearing me, please let you know. I'm also, if you can't watch it on Facebook or you know somebody who can't, a lot of older people may not have social media. YouTube is also airing this. Look for the Steve Mazikane podcast. Click on the live button, and you'll be able to see that live. So the first question we have is, how did early voting go? I expect that to be heavy Democratic. That'll be the first indication. By how much will tell us something. Stony Creek and Short Beach. If those come in very close, that's a huge thing for Jeff Villette. If those are Democratic strongholds, if they come in heavy, 2-1, for example, in a Democrat, they're small districts, but they're telling, then we know Josh has done really, really well. The second one is, what are the coattails? So typically, Jamie was winning elections. He won his last contested election. So 2 years ago, he wasn't contested. Prior to that, he was contested by Brockett. 8,000 votes were cast. He won it 4,900 to 3,100 in a heavily contested race. Really, people came out. One of the largest turnouts of a local election that we've seen in a while. This election will surpass that by a significant margin. This election looks like we're going to be in about 9,300 votes. So that could be one of two things. That could be anti-Trump sentiment. Democrats got crazy. I'm not betting on people just really, really love Josh Brooks. I didn't see that. Possibly. Maybe I just missed it, but possibly. And it could be that Jeff Follett is well known in town. And all the old-time Brantford residents said, no, I know Jeff Follett. I worked with him on the Rotary. I worked with him on the festival. I did this with him. I bought a car from him because he's run car dealerships. And they just said, no, we're voting for Jeff and for his ticket. So the question with both of those is, what are their coattails? Whoever wins, do they win by enough margin so that people who dropped off later on either didn't vote or chose to vote against the party, did they still hold on to things like the RTM and the Board of Education? I'll be honest with you, with the Board of Education, all the candidates, with the exception of one, are so good that the Board of Education's in really good shape. I was really happy. I moderated that discussion with most of those candidates. All were really, really impressive. We cannot go wrong with who gets on that board. So I'm kind of taking that out of the conversation. Yeah, we want to find out who wins. We're going to talk about that. But from a political standpoint and analysis standpoint, you're going to do great no matter what. They're really, really impressive people across the board there. On the RTM, typically, if the Republican wins in a town that has a significant advantage to Democrats, you're going to see a drop-off. You'll see Democrats that say, I love Jeff Follett, I've worked with Jeff Follett, I know he's a Democrat, this is not a Republican-Democrat thing, I'm going to vote for him, but I don't want to vote for the rest of his ticket. And we saw that with Cosgrove at times. What is that drop-off? That's going to be one of the key questions that we're going to have to answer pretty quickly. It's 8:03, the polls are closed. I'm hoping that we have something soon with regards to the early numbers, and as soon as we do, we'll do that. Guys, if there's any questions or any comments you want to make, I'll be glad to talk about any topic until these numbers come in, because I have no idea if it's going to be in 2 minutes or in 20 minutes, so it is what it is. This election, for me, came down to a very simple question on how we view Brantford. Are we looking short-term and short-term tax cuts, do things that help people in the near term, excuse me, or are we looking long-term? And it really, as much as there was an R on a ticket and a D on a ticket, it was really Democrat versus Democrat. We had the Joe Mooney, Jamie Cosgrove, Jeff Follett, Jim Finch side of really intelligent fiscal people saying, let's look long-term, let's plan, what have you. And then we had another side saying, and this has been something they've been saying for about the last 3-4 years, ever since John Hartwell joined their party, the town's saving too much money, it's overtaxation, it needs to go back, and we need to do less of it. So I don't subscribe to that theory. I subscribe to the save money theory, especially with Trump in office. We know Trump could wake up on Tuesday and say, hey, we're going to fund FEMA. On Wednesday, hey, we're not going to fund FEMA. You can wake up on Thursday and say, hey, we're going to give them food stamps. On Friday, we're not going to. Whether you're a fan or not, you have to understand that he's very unpredictable. And I think the town should be saving money and preparing long-term for those types of scenarios. And we're living that real time. We're seeing it with food stamps. I think we're definitely going to see it with FEMA. I put a report from the financial firm that came out and kind of said the same thing I've been saying. What's happening is there's going to be areas that can't get housing insurance, and those property values are going to be in trouble. That brings down the tax base, and also some ratings agencies are going to start requiring towns to have more money on them. So I am certainly in that camp, but tonight's really about analyzing the numbers and taking a look at how they first come in. So I'm looking at across the table from me from one of the candidates. I haven't seen any numbers come in yet. The Excel spreadsheet hasn't gone up yet, but I'll answer any questions you have, or if you want to have a conversation about any issues happening in town, we'll do that. In fact, I may talk about what happened last night at the Board of Finance meeting as well. Massimo, how are you? Tom, how are you? I hope you're down at Lenny's enjoying dinner. We were at Lenny's. I think the Republicans were at Lenny's 2 years ago, and the only issue there is the internet's not great, because that area of town doesn't have great internet. But good to see you guys there. To give everybody a little rundown of what happened yesterday, because it's really quite amazing. Cosgrove is working up until his last day here. We have an opportunity to buy the Freightliner building in Brantford. And if you don't know where that is, off exit 56, if you're coming from Guilford, right when you get off the exit, just before you get onto East Industrial Road, on your right is a Freightliner, and that's a truck building. It is basically made for public works. It's perfect. The initial purchase price was over $13 million. It's been negotiated down to about $10.8 million. That will be, so I'll answer that question about development in a second. This building will end up being a location for a out west firehouse as well, and also likely move the town planning department. I am at the IA Club, the town planning department to that building as well. So, like towns like Guilford have always mixed their public works and town planner together, their zoning together. So we're going to kind of do the same thing in that building, and it creates more space at Town Hall. So that's a really, really good thing. It will take about 2 years to fully move in because the tenant there has asked, despite selling us the building, to rent it back for about $590,000 in total. There's also a solar array on the roof that brings in about $70,000 a year. So there's some revenue to this. But to put this in perspective, years past when Unctor Ross was trying to put public works at the Tabor site, which is a terrible idea, and there's flooding in roads and what have you, that was $11 million 13, 14 years ago. Now today that'd be $25 to $30 million, and that was without pricing out. They had this idea to raise Tabor Drive, which is impossible to do, but they found out it was like a $5 million thing. It was cost prohibitive. But that we got this for $10 is an amazing thing, and I really hope whoever wins tonight moves forward and makes sure that happens. Tom, people just asked me, people against the Villette vote argue that the development of the town was an issue. Was the Dems talking points that they found to do anything different? Isn't that a zoning issue? So here's the issue with housing. One, land owners have rights, and they are taxed at the highest and best use of those. So they're going to come in with housing. Everybody would rather have Costco. Everybody would rather have commercial. Commercial pays the highest. So if they can get Costco or Trader Joe's or Kohl's, they would love to have that. Those are the highest rents you're going to get. People love having those. But a lot of those places aren't growing right now. So the next thing is housing, and there is a demand for housing. There's a demand for professional housing. It's just the way society is going. People aren't getting married. They're staying single longer. They're having careers. The days of having a career and then staying in one place for 30 years, 40 years doesn't exist anymore. So there's that demand for that. On top of this, at the state level, we have our affordable housing laws, which are basically giving developers a gun to use. And they come into planning and zoning and say, I'm going to put up 80 units in this lot. And planning and zoning, if they turn around and say no, they'll say, fine, we're going to put up 110 units, 30 of them are going to be affordable, and when I make them affordable, you can't tell me no anymore. That's just a safety issue. And they have this. And so it's really put planning and zoning departments, not just in Brantford, all over the state. It's happening in Guilford as well. It's happening in East Haven. They have lawsuits going on about this as well. It's like a weapon developers have, and that's changing what local planning and zoning officials can do. I'll talk about Costco in a second. Always talks about Costco. So this idea that the first selectman is like the person who decides that there's a bunch of apartments, it's simply not true. It's not Jamie's, it's not the Democratic one in East Haven, it's not Matt Hoey's in Guilford. They're not someone who can walk in and say, no, we're not going to do this. You could sue, but if you sue, you're going to go to court and you're going to lose. Brantford lived that. Brantford tried to stop the Tabor development. They went to court, went to multiple levels of the court. The Supreme Court said we violated the rights of a landowner. It was a civil use violation. It cost us over $20 million in legal fees and pays out and what have you. It's a disaster. So you have to abide by the law, or otherwise it's just going to cost you 10 times more. And I know some, people who live here say, no, you got to fight everything and fight it, bring it to court. You're going to lose. So you have to be smart. So planning and zoning has to say, listen, let's negotiate something that makes sense. And usually what that means, if you want to negotiate getting that type of housing near exits and near train stations. Like, I don't want to see 100 units put in the middle of Indiana. But if it's near an exit, if it's near a train station, it's a better use for it, better transportation. Well, we can't just say no to projects, but we can say we want to place them in areas that are the best in near transportation and protect the Stony Creeks and the Short Beaches and the Indian Necks and the Pine Orchards from that type of development. That's what we have to do. We have to be smart and proactive about it. We can say no to projects that we don't like. Did the Democrats say they could have controlled that? I totally agree with your points. I don't know that. Here's what we heard, that Josh was going to different neighborhoods saying different things to different people. Not a terrible political strategy, but some of the things he was saying don't make sense. And I couldn't go after every single thing. Some of them, like the tax break for seniors, yes, that's a tax break, a tax increase on everybody else. If you set $1 million or $2 million aside for seniors to freeze their taxes, that million or two you add on to the amount you have to tax everybody else for. So we talked about that. I don't know. I know he didn't post anything publicly saying he can fight back against housing. What he said at the doors is a whole other story. I can't speak to that because I wasn't physically there at the door to know exactly what he said. I've explained this many times. I think I've written many articles about this. And it's not just Brantford. This idea that Jamie Cosgrove can go to a developer and say no, or to a landowner and say no, you just can't have it, just isn't true. It's just not how it works. So, still waiting for results to come in. We have a mention of Costco from Jim. I'm shocked by that. Listen, Costco's not done with Brantford. There is going to be a plan in the fairly near future to bring Costco to Brantford. May not be the same one, but there's going to be a plan to do that. So keep your eye out for that, and as soon as I can, I'll publish more information about that. And it won't be in the town center, so despite any questions that we may have. So right now we don't have any exact answers yet. I don't know why. It's 8:13. We should have something by now, but maybe not. Okay. We have 119 people on here. Glad to see you all. Glad to see, and again, really, from the numbers that I've seen, I'm going to give you at 7 o'clock. At 7, we were at, I'll give you an example of some of the numbers that we kind of look at, what districts are really pulling well. So at 7, the 7th district, which should be a Republican district, was pulling at 101% of 2001. 2003 election doesn't really make sense. Jamie was unopposed. So by not running somebody against Jamie Cosgrove, Democrats were able to keep the turnout low, push their guys to come out there and win the RTM. And they won by a very, very small margin, but that was the result. Typically, a larger turnout, especially in a town where there's long-term connections, right? Everybody knew Jamie Cosgrove. Everybody knows Jeff Follett. That could be a higher turnout. Unlike national, be a pretty good turnout, pretty big thing for Republicans. Love seeing you with the community house. The community house was absolutely packed today. The bad news about that is I got some calls from those handicapped, looking for handicap spots. They had a hard time. They were driving around trying to get in there because not only by the way, if you haven't been to the community house in the last few months, with Dale, with Colin, what they've done is spectacular because that in 3 or 4 months, that has gone from, you'd walk in and maybe see a couple people playing cards or what have you. They have breakfast every morning for $3. They have lunch for $5 in the afternoon. So that finally got going. We got a chef, what have you. On top of that, there are events, like there are times you walk through that building and every room is filled. And it's amazing to see. It's exactly what I was hoping to see when that building was built. Dale's done a great job. Colin's done a great job. Alex Bluesy before him has done a great job. Really, really good to see that. So if you haven't been there recently, stop on down. I got to go down there for breakfast or lunch. It'll be great to see. Colin Sheehan is the best. I agree. I don't know. I don't want to give him a big head or anything because, it's Colin. Okay, 7th District at 101% of what we saw. 6th District, 101%. I'm live. In the 5th District, 107%. That's big. What do you got? Anything? Okay. In the 2nd District, 102%. In the 3rd District, 98%. In the 1st District, 110%. So you having some districts with really, really increased turnout. Again, we don't know exactly why. We don't know if that's anti-Trump sentiment. We don't know if one of the candidates just did an amazing job. You're just listening. Okay, you can listen. All right. I got people standing around. I don't know if I get that I'm a huge celebrity, but in any event. So the question is, what led to this? And once you get past, like if we had gotten just to 8,000, I would say, all right, the Jamie vote came out for Jeff Villette. We know what happened. You're done. Seeing a much higher number, I didn't see in the in the Brooks campaign indication that they were killing it. Like I didn't see indication. Late in the game, he came out with some attacks that really didn't make sense about not showing up for a debate. Tracy Everson came out with an absurd video, basically saying everything Jamie did was because Democrats supported him. Like I don't know what planet you're on, but Tracy made it very difficult for everybody. So there was just some late things that you don't do if you're kind of ahead of a game, or if you feel like you're ahead. So that's the question, and I don't have an answer yet. It's 8:18. We don't really have anything on the board. Perry, are they close to getting some numbers?
I think they're getting some, but nothing that I know of yet.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let me know. That's Perry Maresca, the Economic Development Coordinator. They have. So we have, I would say, 100 people or so here at the IA Club with a Republican ticket. The Democrats had a weird thing today. They were planning on going. I only know this because BCTV has talked to me. They're giving them some information. They were planning on going to Little Rigs until Little Rigs said they weren't open tonight. So I don't know what happened. I don't know where they ended up. Where did the Democrats end up? Little Rigs is closed today. They opened for them? Okay, so Little Rigs apparently opened for them. The only problem with Little Rigs is the internet's not good though. So I don't know why we would choose Little Rigs, but it is what it is. Little Rigs, by the way, is a good restaurant. So if you haven't been there, good burgers. How are you? Good to see you.
Taking the number.
I'm sure it's Bill. What district do you have?
5.
Go to Bill back there, behind the.
I didn't even see it.
There you go. What's that? I'm live. Yeah. Okay.
I got nothing.
Well, the fifth is right there. The 5th just came in. So somebody just walked in with the 5th. I don't know why somebody walked in with the slip and didn't just call it in. All right, so give us a second. We may have some numbers pretty soon. The 5th is a big one when it comes to the RTM. I think the Democrats won the 5th last time and took over the majority of the RTM. All right, so just give us a second here. Again, the real question is, I'm not sure if these are full numbers or including early votes. Now, in the 5th, just for argument's sake, to go back and look at. I can't see it. Make it bigger. I can't see.
So 676, 484.
So we're seeing big numbers for Villette. Oh, so in the first, 676 Villette, 484 for Brooks. But that can't be. He's got to make that bigger. Does that include early votes?
No.
Well, so the day of votes in the first, Villette with a huge lead. Brooks did win the second by about 90 votes. Hey, Perry, find out if that includes early votes. I don't think it does. The first, yeah, I don't think it does either. These are actually very good numbers. I would say kind of skewed towards Brooks. Oh, is that the 6th? All right. Based on what I see, these are just very, very early numbers. We expect Republicans to win the same day vote. So let's put it this way. If it's, we have 676 in the first second to 484, but that's not a huge margin. All right. Okay, so in the first 676 to 484, that's same day vote from what I can tell. He won that. You know what? What I'll check is the race versus Malo. Yeah, so Malo had 1,200, so there's clearly more votes to come. So I'm going to say overall, these are not phenomenal numbers for Villette. Okay, so same day, 451, 366 in the second. In the fifth, Republicans win 635 to 517. In the sixth, 524 to 435. These numbers are not good for Villette. These numbers skew, I would say these numbers skew Brooks. Well, I don't know. So we won't know the answer to this until early voting happens. And there does seem to be a drop-off because we're watching this is going to be a very, very close vote. In general, I would say initially these are not good numbers for Villette. These are good numbers for Brooks. Oh, wow. Did Villette really win early votes? Oh, no, that's not early votes. Okay, so it's really hard to exactly know because we don't have that early vote number yet. All right, so what I'm seeing so far is Villette's same-day totals are not huge wins, which means this is going to be very close. If it's very close, there's a good chance that Democrats hold the RTM and win treasurer. So you may have a situation where Villette wins. This looks like it is all the numbers favor Democrats right now. The question is, we don't. Looks like Pelosi will win fairly easily. So the numbers we're seeing now, we needed Villette to win by large numbers on same-day voting. He's winning same-day votes, but it's going to be close overall. I think the top of the ticket is going to be very close. With the top of the ticket this close, this means it favors Democrats in the lower parts of the ticket. Here we go. Oh no, it's just not included in the numbers that we have yet. So there's a different process to go get those. So in day of voting, like Republicans are going to win the day of voting. Remember, you're hearing some cheers. Looking at day of voting, you're not seeing early votes here. I'll give you an example. So Ray Ingraham has 600 votes. He's usually the highest vote getter in the 5th district. Tracy Everson has 542. But that's just today. Now, will she make up 58 votes from that point? Probably not. Okay, another picture just came in. That's blurry as hell. Yeah, she's a third-party candidate. That's not surprising. That's normal.
Okay, give me the Aronson and next.
This is absolutely a Democratic. The Democrats came out. Very likely got an anti-Trump. That extra 1,000 votes were Democrats. This is much closer than I expected. I can debate anybody, but I'm not going to sit here and debate somebody who's trying to start a fight. I don't do it. So I block people who are complete assholes. Does he even live in Brantford? Aside from the election, what is the town doing for those not getting SNAP benefits? As a resident, I know we're all doing what we can. Yeah, there was a discussion between the counseling center, the town, and the Brantford, I forgot what else it was, to try to get some money to either through the counseling center or through the food bank. I know those discussions have been ongoing. No, listen, this is what we knew. This is what we expected. It could go either way, but there is a huge factor, anti-Trump factor in local elections, and that's just the way it is. And also remember, the impact Cosgrove had. They're not final yet, so they won't be produced yet, and it's going to be a long time, I think, before we have the final answers. Now, for first, we don't know. We don't know early voting. Guys, I'm trying to get answers, but the numbers are so close, it's going to be really hard to give you numbers. So in the first, Villette with a big lead. In the second, obviously we expected that Brooks won. The fourth, that's surprising. So in the fourth, Brooks is going to win. Yeah, I think there's a very good chance, based on the numbers we see so far, that Josh Brooks is the next first selectman of Brantford. It'll be close. And this is just, it's Trump. There's nothing you can do. To go from Cosgrove, where he won easily, that switch. Once Jamie was out, it just became an anti-Trump election.
You have Dunbar and
Hold on. Let's see what came in.
What are you showing? Where am I going? 2. No, I know.
Okay, so in the 5th, same day voting, 100. The 5th, the Republicans won same day voting. Christie 555, Flanagan 559, Cyrus 526. Everson is one of the lower Democrats. I'm surprised by that. So the answer there is going to come down to who won early voting. In the 7th, Republicans won in the 7th. They may win early. Voting in the 7th anyway. Try to pull this up. All right. So far, same day voting. Villette is up by about 400. We don't know early votes yet. The early votes are going to determine that. Now left are the 3rd, 5th came in. Josh Brooks won the same day voting in the 4th, which is I'm surprised by. The 6th, Villette won. The 7th, Villette won early, easily. So the race for first selectman could be very, very close. There is a chance. I don't know what 400 means. The Dunbar is about tied right now with Verderam, and they haven't put the 3rd district in yet, and he's going to win the 3rd district. So Dunbar definitely gets on. I think Schwanfelder gets in fairly easily. He won the 4th district same day. He won the 5th district same day. He lost the 6th, but not by enough. He lost the 7th by a lot, but he's going to win the early vote. Is for, look, Brooks is a good guy, but he said, but he certainly came out with some very dishonest things in this election. But you can do that when you have the anti-Trump sentiment. And that's what's happening. And a lot of the towns we talked to had high turnout. But that early vote is going to probably push him over the top. No, you have a lot of people who are not voting local. And we know that because these are the highest turnout on a local election I've ever seen. That doesn't happen because of local issues. That happens because of national. No, listen, there's enough money in savings for more than a one-year tax cut. But this is going to be very interesting. All right, so we have more pictures coming in. So it looks like, no, even the race, I mean, Dan Halley, this tells you that this had nothing to do with qualifications. The Paluzzi-Halley race looks like it's going to be close, which tells you people were not voting for anything. That's just the way people are. They hate Trump, they vote Democrats. But there is nobody in their right mind that would choose Paluzzi over Dan Halley, and that's going to be a close race. So what you're realizing here is, one, how strong Cosgrove was as a candidate. That's the first thing that's clear. The second one was Cosgrove kind of held off the Trump impact. The Trump impact is huge. BOE, they're going to win the 2nd. In the 4th, yeah, I'm going to tell you this. The Republicans are going to have control of the Board of Ed, which is fine. That's not the end of the world. All of those candidates are really good except for Halley. No problem with that. They're going to control the RTM, which is going to be an issue. And if Jeff wins, he may not have the RTM, and he may not have control of the Board of Selectmen. So it's going to be very interesting. We don't have the early vote yet, but you could have a mixed government. You could have all Democrats win. That's a certain possibility. Or you can have Jeff win at the top and then have absolutely no help whatsoever. So it's a really interesting series of events. If Brooks ends up first selectman, I don't think, look, I don't, here's the deal with Brooks. I think the people behind him are going to be the people in charge. Let me just say it that way. The John Hartwells, the Schwanfelders, those are people that are going to be actually in charge of what happens in Brantford. Because I think Brooks is a good guy, but there's nothing in his past that indicates he can run a $150 million town. There's nothing that indicates that. So it is what it is. We'll cover it. We'll let you know what he does. But if it is him, we don't know the answer to that yet. What we don't have is the early numbers. And Josh Brooks is a good guy. I've said this many times. I just don't know that there's a full understanding of what the Board of Finance and Jamie have done to get the town where it is. Like, remember, things were not getting done in the past. Senior centers weren't being built. All right, so now RTM, it's hard until we have the early votes, and we don't have that yet. I mean, right now, the two Republicans won in the 7th district. It's kind of very, very mixed in the 5th. It's very mixed in the 4th. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. In the 4th, it looks like the 4th will be. The 4th really went for Brooks. They really went. I think a lot of the condo areas, they really went crazy there. Second, we already knew that. There's no question there. And in the 1st, I don't really have those numbers yet. Oh, with the 1st, everybody wins automatically. No, listen, the question isn't, here's the concern that we have. There are bigger concerns that impact Brantford that are from outside Brantford. Obviously, Trump. If you were someone who said, I want to prepare for Trump, then you voted for the Republican side because they were the ones preparing for Trump. If you said, I don't like Trump, so I'm voting for Democrats, okay, then you voted for Democrats. But they're telling you they don't want to save as much money. They're telling you they want to give a bunch of tax breaks. It's bad math. It doesn't work. Now, if they have control of who goes on the Board of Finance, you can knock off a Joe Mooney. You can knock off the guys who've been running the town, making those things happen. This is a problem with voting party without analyzing what's actually happening. I cover what's actually happening. So, how people vote is how people vote. And nothing really matters until we have the early vote. Now, right now, trying to get a feel for where we stand before the early vote. Yeah, they just gave the town to John Hartwell. That's the guy who fought the Stony Creek Brewery. He's been in town for about 7 years. You can do your own research on him. You'll see what you see. That's what just happened. There's nothing you can do when it comes to Joe Mooney just came. There's nothing you can do when it comes to that Trump effect. And that was the one thing everybody was like, what do you do? There's nothing you can do. And as much logic as you can bring to the table, when somebody says, I don't like an R after a name, they're going to vote for a D. That's just how it is. And it goes the other way, too. In a town where you have twice as many Democrats, this is what it is.
Hey.
How's it going, Joe?
Good, good.
I'm live, but...
What's that?
I'm live. Just letting you know. It's okay. Until we have Jamie, any idea when they're running? Where I feel bad here is that you spent 12 years building the savings up. You spent 12 years doing these processes, and it won't take long to be undone. The processes that put in place, last night Kurt Schwanfelder was yelling out at meetings. He had to be stopped. We're back to what was there before Cosgrove took office, and it's usually determined by people that aren't really paying attention to town. And that's the sad part here. There's those of us that pay attention to this, understand what improved, what's going well, and then people show up and vote just because they show up. And we saw that when the number went past 8,000 today around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, it was like, what's going on here? And it was, this is the Trump impact. And we're seeing this in a bunch of towns. And I'll be honest, I mean, anybody could have been the candidate there. Like, anybody, if Jeff decided to run as a Democrat, he'd be the first elect. He would definitely win here, and he would have won in the landslide. This is just the nature of the beast. So Paluzzi has a pretty decent lead, and I actually think he's going to do well in early voting. So he'll probably get on, but it looks like the Democrats will control the Board of Ed. Again, I don't have a problem with that because I think all the candidates are pretty good. You're welcome to vote however you want to vote. You have the right to do that. At the end of the day, this is why so many towns have gone to a town manager, because when you leave a $150 million budget up to the way someone feels and not qualifications, you don't always get the most qualified people. Like North Branford's gone to a town manager. There's a reason for that. It doesn't matter. That's how people vote. When people, and we see this all the time, they're mad about something nationally, they bring it locally. Because the D or an R is after their name, that's what happens. It's just the way life is. Is it in the best interest of town? No. Remember, the people at the top of political parties don't care. They care about winning. They want to be able to say, we won. We flipped Branford from Republican to Democrat. And once Jamie decided not to run again, and he has every right to, they have their right to do that, it's hard to do. I can call out the numbers. So what district do you want to know? I'll try to tell you what I have. Remember, this is just same day vote, so it's hard to, in the first district, same day votes. Brooks, 484, Villette, 676. In the second, Brooks, 451, Villette, 366. I don't have the third yet. In the fourth, Brooks, 525, 462. In the fifth, Villette, 635, Brooks, 517. In the sixth, 524 for Villette, 435 for Brooks. And in the seventh, 470. Early voting in the first. Oh. Okay, so the early voting, this is interesting. Early voting in some of these districts are not as heavily Democrat as I thought. I can't see it. 377 and 336, or 236, and 277. Okay, so we're seeing something interesting. Early voting may not be as heavily Democratic as we thought. Now, that's in the first. Second and third are the small districts. Yeah, by district. By district. All right, so I'm going to give you something in a second. Next, 272, Lucia, 233. Okay, so yes, early voting is favoring Democrats. 157 and 2. Hold on, Tim. 157 and 2. So Villette wins the first on the same day. He's going to win it after early too. 676, 484. In the second, it's Brooks 451, Villette 366. 5, 7. In the 5th, it's 635 for Villette, 517 for Brooks. The same day, remember, 157. In the 7th is heavy Villette, 470 Villette to 298 for Brooks. And it looks like early voting is not as heavily Democratic as I thought. That may have been his name recognition. This is why we do it this way. We talk through it, because you're never going to get the numbers fast. That's why we do it. So. All right, so like even Board of Ed, yeah, so Democrats have won the early vote, but not nearly by as much as I initially thought. This looks like it's more like 55-45 than 65-35. So what that probably gives me is that I think that gives Jeff Villette the edge to be the next first selectman. We have to see how these show up, but early on that's what it's showing me. I think definitely the Democrats win the RTM. Definitely Democrats win the Board of Education. The question becomes, what happens to the Board of Selectmen? Does Victoria get on or not? My gut right now tells me she probably doesn't. You may end up with a situation where Jeff Villette's on, but with 2 Democrats. Now, and that's wild. I mean, I've never seen that before. For what? Where? Okay, so he ends up winning the first. Somebody was asking about the first district. Oh, the screen moving's too fast. Yeah, and if Villette does pull this out, and there's a chance he might, there's no coattails. And here's what's bad if that happens. So if it so happens that Villette wins, they're in separate categories, but I think they were counted together. If Villette wins, but loses the Board of Selectmen, he may lose the ability for appointments to other town boards. So the Democrats would be able to put on whoever they wanted to the Board of Finance and then change town whatever. Remember, we're also losing Jim Finch. Jim Finch, the town's finance director, is retiring. So this is a really crucial time for Brantford. And you have a party that you're giving the bank account to, that, and you're saying to them, all right, go ahead. Still don't have the 3rd district, and I don't know how that's possible. There's no shock that the Democrats won early voting by a 2-1 margin in the 2nd district. They're going to win that by a 2-1 margin in the 3rd district. It may be the other way in the other districts. Not yet. Term. Oh, early voting on that one. Holy cow. So early voting, it's interesting. For Villette, it's kind of 60-40, 55-45. But in the rest, they went. So even people who voted Villette went Villette and then Democrat the rest of the way.
And then I've got to add it in.
There is a very good chance. It's a Jim Finch losing, but there's a chance Villette wins first selectman, loses the Board of Selectmen, loses the Board of Ed, and loses the RTM, which means he's in a very, very tough spot. Still trying to get you guys numbers. It's hard because blurry screen.
So I got. Did Bill get the number?
In the 3rd? I think he's still waiting for him.
I sent him to him.
Oh, I don't know. You're in the 2nd or 3rd? Third. Yeah, he's still waiting on the 3rd. Yeah, and that was a question of how much. So here's what very likely happened. You have an extra probably 1,400 votes that more than the last election that are just anti-Trump votes. So if you didn't have those, you likely have a Republican sweep. What you have here is you have this huge surge. The population hasn't surged. There hasn't been any significant massive differences from 2 years ago. Cosgrove's not at the top, that's one thing. And you added 1,300 votes. And you have 1,300, I mean, you're at about 9,300 votes is a really, really high number for a local election. And those are clearly just anti-Trump votes. And I think we're seeing that now. I mean, some of these are so close you're going to have a count, but some are not. I don't know if my eyesight's going or not, but a lot of this stuff is blurry. We have a pretty packed house here. And listen, you know, every single town has a group of people that are, I'll say a couple thousand people that really pay attention. And they know the differences. I will tell you, Villette won 80% of those people. There's no question in my mind. The people who are involved, that understand what's happening, what have you. And then on top of that, you have people who kind of pay attention, what have you. And then you have this extra, this year especially, you had 8,000 people who voted 2 years ago in a contested election. Huge money spent on both sides. You're going to have about 9,300 this year. So you have 13 extra people. Yeah, I may need to get a vision appointment. About 1,300 extra people who voted, and clearly those are anti-Trump people. There is nothing anybody can do about that. You cannot change those votes. And looking at some of these numbers that came in, some of those came in, maybe they just went in across the board and voted Democrats. If I ask these people if they have any idea what's going on in town, they probably don't, but this is what elections are. And they're not always, you know, decided by people who understand all the details. This is the Trump effect. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the midterms. Hey, Steve, whichever way this goes, you're doing a tremendous job informing us. Thank you. So, listen, and I'll still do that. Like, when people don't tell the truth, I'm going to write about it. And, you know, understanding what happens, how the finances work in town, how we pay our pensions down, if we can understand that, and I hope I've helped you understand that a little bit more, we become better people. I can't, and Jamie Cosgrove, nobody can fight against an extra 1,000, 1,300 people showing up and voting for just blindly voting for party. There's nothing you can do, and it's not, you know, it's just, you know, if you're in Guilford now and you're a Republican, what the Democrats have done in Guilford is they had a bunch of their Democrats go on to the independent party, so people vote for Democrats or independents, and have knocked out the Republicans completely. So these are the games that are being played. We talk about, you know, the rigging of districts. These are the games being played in a lot of these towns that, you know, if you are a blue state, like, this is what happens. All I try to do, guys, is to do my own research and then share that with you. And I want to have an understanding of what's happening. I am honored that I've learned, you know, been able to follow Jim Finch and Joe Mooney, really smart guys. It's a shame that the town is voting in many ways against those guys, against what they've done. Like, you live in this town, you realize how well it's run, and you still kind of don't care. That's tough. That's tough for me to handle as a person who loves this town. But that's what you get. And when we saw that increase, we passed the 8,000 that we had 2 years ago, I think around 2 o'clock, 2:30. And you know, me and a few other people were looking at each other like, you know, is this some, you know, massive Trump thing? And it's an anti-Trump thing. And that's what it is. And that's what they ran. I mean, Brooks didn't tell a lot of the truth. I mean, he just didn't. All right, I'm trying to get some. What I have is people sending me pictures. Okay, so Brooks Villette. So right now, without the early votes, Yeah, this is going to be so.
Fine up.
Well, the early votes in the 7th are going to go Villette. I have right now 3708 to 3580. I have Villette with about a 128 vote lead, but we're still waiting on early votes in the 7th, the 6th, well, a bunch of areas. And we're waiting on the 3rd.
Right now, my anxiety is still worse. I can't even focus.
Yeah, the early vote, the 4th district is what really did it. The 4th district did really, really well for Brooks. I mean, going out and telling people they're going to get a tax break. No, but this is why towns may choose to go to a town manager, because you got. I mean, I don't know that anybody could have looked at the resumes of Jeff Villette and Josh Brooks and said, "Yeah, I'm going to hire Josh Brooks." I don't know that any of these people that even voted for him would have done that. Like, there's nothing to show he's ever led. The party's never chosen to lead. Conversely, the party chose Jeff repeatedly to lead. Kept putting on the Board of Finance, led the festival committee, leads the fireworks committee, all of these things. And this is what you get. This is just the way it is. And it's democracy in action, but it's also an uninformed vote in action. All right, so I'm trying to get a feel for, give us a few minutes because we don't have the other districts up yet. If I was a guess right now, Brooks might end up being a very, very slim winner. About a 200-point lead, about a 128-point lead for Villette. We still need early voting in the 5th, which could be about even. Early vote 7th, which Villette probably will win by a little bit, and the 6th, which could be about even. So that might help. However, we're still waiting for the 3rd, and that should be. And Josh Brooks doesn't. Listen, we don't have to hide the fact that Josh Brooks doesn't. There's nothing I've ever seen in Josh Brooks that says yes, he should be the first selectman of a town. Nothing. That doesn't mean he's not a great guy. It's not a. He's a very good guy. I like him. He's entertaining. There's times at the meeting he says something I'm like, okay, that makes good sense. But that doesn't mean, like, if you were investing with somebody, a leader, you wouldn't go to Josh Brooks. Again, that doesn't take away from him as a person. Do I think he's honest? I think he says what he thinks is true. Whether it's true or not is a whole other story. Yeah, you have, so, I mean, Dunbar is beating Victoria, and so is, yeah, this might end up being a weird situation where if Jeff does sneak in, he may have, yeah, there's a very real situation that if Jeff does get it, and it'll be close, and that's a big if. This is going to go very, very neck and neck. If he does, it may be a situation where he has the first selectman, but does not have control of the Board of Selectmen, which is a tough place to be, because that means they can put on whoever they want on town boards, and that's not necessarily a good thing. All right, we got to wait for those final numbers to come up. Guys, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. We have a pretty good sized audience here. I can only give you the information that I'm getting, and I can give you an honest assessment. I'm not going away. I'm still going to give you an honest assessment, no matter who's in power. But knowing the people that are going to be in power here, knowing the actions that they've taken over the last couple of years, it is what it is. If Jeff gets in, so Jeff's going to be on, I don't know if it's Board of Selectmen or as first selectman, but it'll be some version of Brooks, Dunbar, and like we're about tied, waiting for early votes in a couple districts. The Board of Selectmen will be Brooks, Dunbar, and Villette. We just don't know who will be first selectman. Who is this? My name is Steve. How are you, Gene? I'm getting comments probably from YouTube and Facebook, so not everybody's seeing that. I'm getting all of them. Your anti-Trump theory is an insult, except it's a fact. No, 1,300 people, more people didn't show up for Josh Brooks. It's just not a thing. It's just not, it doesn't happen. So I've covered enough politics to know that doesn't happen. And if you know anything about Branford politics, there's a bunch of people on the Democratic ticket who are Republicans too. So don't give me that nonsense anti-Trump theory. This is an anti-Trump election. We know this. Every part of media was talking about what's the impact of the anti-Trump sentiment, and it may lead to a certain election in New York City. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so no one cares about constables. Early voting in the 7th is vital. Yeah. I can't see the total. If I take a picture of it and see what happens. No one is arguing that he's not a man of integrity. Qualifications are the question. And I've covered him for the 14 years he's been on the RTM, I've covered him. So
Do we have 4 or 5 for that treasurer? Okay.
So right now, waiting on. Oh, he flipped the thing.
I can't do that. I've got to do totals.
All right. So right now, the only thing that really matters. I mean, what we know. Listen, there's. Exactly, he lied. Like, that's a basic lie. Go to his website right now, and it says he's been on for 18 years. He's been on for 14 years. That's a lie. I don't know what planet you're on, but that's a lie. And I have the years that he ran and didn't run. And I don't want to knock Josh here. You know, he went out, he knocked on doors, but he's there because of anti-Trump sentiment. He's not there because voters said, you know what, let me look at this guy's resume, and he's the guy I want. That didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, and listen, he was the one who started this. We got to take $500,000, and when it came to a vote, he abstained. Don't tell me that's a leader. It just isn't. Do you vote for people to abstain from key votes? Do you? Will you consider qualified? And Joe Mooney, who is the most respected finance, head of finance there is, the former head of the state IRS, basically, went and fixed hospice, said it completely irresponsible. And then the town voted for him. Why? The town didn't vote for him. The people didn't go out and say, I can't wait for Brooks. They went out and said, I'm not voting for an R. You don't get an increase of 1,300 votes that way. It's just math. It's not even, and even an opinion. Every single media going into this was, what are the impacts of the anti-Trump sentiment? That's what everybody was doing. So we now know it. It pulled out what's 1,300 on 8,000 votes? Okay, well, I mean, Josh's friends are here. That's great. I can't see that number.
Got it?
Oh, wow. So we're still waiting on absentee votes. Seriously, this is wild. I am waiting on... We're waiting on absentees in a couple districts, but right now, with just about everything in, I think everything in, Josh has a 14-vote lead. No, it'll take more than a year. You know, conservative budgeting, what you do is you if your tax collection rate's at 98, you put it at 97 and a half. If your budget's 143, you put it at 144. So you have a little bit of wiggle room. What Josh keeps saying is, I want to give out more money to town employees, more money to unions, and more money and a tax break to seniors. That all sounds good, but those are recurring charges. So every time you say, hey, instead of a 2% raise, we're going to give you a 3% raise, well, the next raise compounds that. That's all that happens over and over and over. It just gets compounded. So it doesn't take long to drain down your savings very, very quickly. So the next couple of years, they'll tell you, oh, no, there's no tax increase this year. And oh, no, maybe taxes go down this year. You'll be able to say all those things until one year, it's not as rosy. And you suddenly are going to have much bigger jumps. And that's the problem. So we're still waiting on absentees. I think it's pretty safe to say that Josh Brooks is going to be your next first selectman. There may be a recount, it's close enough, but you had an additional 1,300 voters from what I can see. I mean, no, it may just be 1,000. You had an extra, yeah. You're going to end up with at least an extra 1,000 voters on 8,000. You had a 13% increase in turnout in this election over the Cosgrove Brockett election, which was heavy money went into it. The fourth, the Democrats are going to win everything in the fourth. You know, what does it mean? Listen, Brantford's a Democratic town. It's 2-1. We really just learned the power of Cosgrove, right? If Cosgrove announced he was running, probably no one would run against him. Long-time Democratic family, so people just kind of viewed him as a Democrat. And remember, you know, got great. Wait a minute, are these numbers right? Yeah. All right, so in the third. Yeah, we're still waiting for ABs. I mean, waiting for absentees in the fourth, that's going to be heavy. Brooks in the fifth, that might be tied. In the sixth, we already have them. And in the seventh, that might go to Villette. It's very, very, very close. Well, listen, look at what your tax rate increases were in Guilford. And here's the deal. You have $60 million in Brantford. You have $60 million saved. So you can get away with bad fiscal policies or not great fiscal policies for a while. You can't. You have money that you could start burning. All the municipal bond ratings are saying save more, save more, save more. How many lens don't have? That one? I don't know. It's a Android Note or something like that. But so you're going to get away. You can get away with doing things that are not the right fiscal decisions. This is what they've been preaching for years. Take more money from savings, put it towards the budget. The problem with taking more money from savings and put it towards the budget is that every time you take it, when the money starts running out, that means there's a huge tax increase. So, yeah, the next couple of years, and in 2 years, Trump's in office again, so the Democrats might not run, because it really doesn't make any sense. Everything's going to be great for the next 2 years. He can give tax breaks, and he can give money back, and he can give senior freezes, and he can do all this stuff. It doesn't matter. He's going to have complete control of government, so nothing really matters. And he can do that, and it's not going to hurt him, and the town will be down a little bit, but no big deal. And you could probably do this for 3 or 4 years because Cosgrove has set you up for this. Joe Mooney set you up for this. My question is, you're losing Finch. I wouldn't be shocked if you lose Mooney, and you have a new finance director coming in. That's the math. And now, like, even if you wanted to switch to like a town manager, you would never get them to vote to replace themselves, right? So that's the problem with trying to go to a town manager. Listen, all I can tell you is this: I'm watching. I'll watch what they do and I'll report it, but it's unfortunate. They have the constable screen up. Nobody cares about the constable. No one cares about the first because that's already done.
Yeah.
From the looks of it, people ask what's happening. It's going to be a recount, kind of close, but I think Josh Brooks comes out very, very, very slightly ahead. Dennis Nardella.
There's no Nelson. That's supposed to be Chris, right?
The IA Club. So you're in. Wow, is that correct?
I can't edit.
So we need. Why don't we have third district number? Oh no, he's going to win. So if we don't have third district numbers up there, all right. Josh Brooks is going to be your next first selectman, and very likely will sweep everything. I just posted that. I'll call it now because we're waiting on. It's close, but we're waiting on the third district. The third district is going to be a Josh district. District 1. So the RTM Democrats only ran 2 candidates, so there was nothing to win. All the people who ran.
Who is it? No, I don't have those numbers.
Why don't we have the third district votes?
No.
Why is the third district not up there? Right, so AB is in the 6th. That should be about even.
I've got all the Swan stuff. I don't have access to or anything.
I'm going to take a picture of the board. Oh no, we're looking at the wrong one. Sorry, I'm trying to take a picture of the board so I can see it. Board of Ed. It looks like all the Democrats will win. I can't tell with the Palooza race. You see any totals for the Palooza race? 4-year Hall of no total. I can't see the total on the screen.
They expanded the screen.
Yeah.
It was spreadsheet. Lost the total.
Yeah. All day today, we've had 3 or 4 people kind of spamming Branford 7 who were out of town people, but they all were friends with Josh Brooks, so I wasn't shocked by that. Yeah, and here's the only way to figure out that you had suddenly 1,000 people show up to vote who don't order than any ever show up in a local election is Trump. You had the highest turnout you could have 2 years ago, with about 8,000 votes, and you're going to hit over 9,000 fairly easily. It's funny, like most of the town hall employees are all here. They're all at the Republican. I think almost everybody that knows politics, like knows what's happening in the town, knows the planning in the town, knows the processes in the town, they were all Villette people.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, we're still waiting. The Alex Paluzzi one I'm waiting on because I'm guessing that he has popularity enough that he's going to get on the board. I don't see the answer yet, though, so we have to wait.
I wish we had more than 10 viewers.
And that's, I mean, that 1,000 votes is everything. Last night we saw Kurt Schwanfelder yelling out during the meeting. He was dead wrong. I don't know what they do with that project, if they don't do that or not, if they move forward with the Freightliner purchase. We just don't know. And I think, and I'm going to reiterate this, I think the issue you have with Josh Brooks is that you're giving control to the people behind him. Kurt Schwanfelder is going to be up his ass, to use another language, John Hartwell, all this kind of stuff. It's what's going to happen. And we knew this. I mean, we knew there was a chance that no Republican could win. And I give a lot of credit to Jeff because, you know, he talked to both sides. Both sides wanted him, but they kept, you know, they lied like crazy about town savings. They've attacked him from a bunch of areas. And Jeff said, no, I'm not running with them. You know, there's a guy who actually stood by his principles. Trump's in office, let's prepare for Trump. Instead, people said, well, Trump's in office, so I'm going to vote for a Democrat, instead of the people who are actually preparing for the impacts of what Trump does. And, you know, people question, you know, Steve, you're supporting the Republican. No, I didn't vote for Trump. And the reason I supported Villette, the reason I support Mooney, and the reason I supported Cosgrove was because they were the ones that were taking seriously the threat of Trump. And we're seeing that now. We see that with the food stamps coming already. We see it with him threatening FEMA money. You know, who's a bigger Democrat? Somebody who just says they're a Democrat, or someone who actually prepares for the impact that Trump might have? And I give a lot of credit to Jeff for being a voice of reason. But that's the mentality. They don't care. The average person couldn't tell you who Josh Brooks is. So Jeff Villette, they know because he's been part of every organization for forever. The Rotary and the festivals and all that kind of stuff. He was a Dem up until 2 months ago. Yeah, that's the 3rd district. Okay, so yeah, Brooks won.
3 just came in.
Yeah, they could call it. Josh Brooks won.
469 for Brooks, and he won. In the 3.
The name? What's the number? 461?
469 227. So we don't have 7 earlier apps, right? They're switched over.
Wait, they do. Right?
So the total number of votes, I just want to see this total. Well, governor's a little different, remember, because that might be true in the cities, but there's a lot of towns in the state that are not Democratic cities. So that's very interesting. Listen, I don't even call it Trump derangement syndrome because I understand what that is, and I don't think that's really, I think it's just ignorance. If people paid attention and said, you know, what's happening fiscally, people, if they have a house here, you should be looking at who's taking the lead in making smart fiscal decisions. It was one side. And I'll tell you firsthand, Cosgrove never voted for Trump. Villette never voted for Trump. This is not something that they had anything, but they cared about the town. You have people who came in from COVID. You had people who came in, just Democrats in general, came out and voted, and you had an extra, I think the total number will end up being maybe 1,200 more people vote than normal. Okay, hold on, let me see if I can see the number. So with the third, so you're at 48-45. Wow. So you're almost 1,400 more votes than 2 years ago. 48-45 to 43-48. By about 300 votes, Josh Brooks will win. That looks like everything is in for the most part, which means you have 345, 9,000, almost 9,400 votes. You're going to have 1,400 more votes than you had 2 years ago. This is Trump. This has nothing to do with Josh Brooks. There is no math where that adds up. This is Trump. And there's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter how well you run a town. When the sentiment is that bad against something nationally, and they bring in that kind of thing, you know, and Josh's whole campaign was to give away money and buy votes. That's fine. But this type of increase in turnout, that doesn't answer that question. And anti-Trump sentiment has delivered. Listen, that's the way it is. Now, put it this way. Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1 in Brantford, and it was a 300 vote difference. So Republicans and unaffiliated voters lined up for Villette. Lined up for him. You'll probably show about 2,000. All the other ones are Democrats showing up. So, you know, to get it that close when you have a huge 2-1 advantage, the vast majority of town that were paying attention went Villette. There are a lot of people who came in and said, we hate Trump, therefore I'm voting for Josh Brooks. And the vast majority have no idea who Josh Brooks is.
Well, it's not a spreadsheet as much as it is seeing jumble not being able to get some data.
All right, so now I have the final numbers. Oh no, looking at, all right, so 6 years on the Board of Ed, 3 people get in. Very close, but it looks like it will be Amanda Henry.
Okay, so what I'm missing is I need a 7th district gets.
Yeah, so you saw a nice drop off too. So even people who voted Villette then went. So Amanda Henry will get on, Donna Leitch will get on, and DeLucia will get on in a very close race over Troidel. Paluzzi lost to Dan Halley. Dan Halley's a scumbag, and he will win a seat on the Board of Ed. That man is it was almost criminal what he did. Quit his job is I don't even have words for that. Absolutely disgusting. On the 2-year, Aronson will win. I like him, very good. Fittenholtz, good guy. He was great in the discussion, the education discussion we had. And oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if both can get on. So it might be Aronson and Johnson. Oh no, Aronson and Johnson. Wow. So in the 2-year term, they're fill-ins, so they may not both be able to get in from the same party. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. It could be Aronson and Fichtenholz, which is both two good guys, no problem with that. But it may be one Democrat, one Republican. I'm not sure on the answer to that. I have to get that afterwards. If that's the case, it'd be Aronson and Johnson. Yeah, this is what you voted for. This is what happens. And it's funny because you're going to see all the town people who are paying attention be really upset. because it's the people who weren't paying attention at all who made this happen. Hey, it's an end of an era. Cosgrove left. This is what happened, and absolutely wild, and a huge drop off. So even people who did vote for Villette, I mean, you had a bunch of people who down ticket. Put this in a little bit of perspective. You had people who the final numbers are not final yet. They're just coming in. But if you're just coming in, don't be embarrassed by the town. Don't listen. It's a great town. Jamie Cosgrove is leaving office and leaving a great town. If people want to, it is what it is. And listen, the world's not coming to an end. We're not falling off a cliff. There's money there. There have been really good, smart financial decisions made for a long time. I don't know if Josh will pick up, the projects that Jamie had going on. We have a town center project next year. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know that he's somebody that can handle some of these projects anyway, so it depends on what the people behind him are going to do. Good luck. Trump got them in there. I mean, if the Democrats believe for a second they got it on their own merits, they're full of shit. That didn't happen. This is anti-Trump sentiment, and, look, he won by 300 votes. You had an extra 1,300 to 1,400 people show up to vote. That'll tell you right there. The people who normally vote all voted Villette. He would have won easily. You had a bunch of new voters that showed up. That's Trump. That's happening. Very likely going to happen in a bunch of towns. Doesn't make sense to me. As a member of the media who tries to research and present the facts, it's like disappointing to see that it all comes down to nothing. But it is what it is. Congratulations to the members of the Board of Ed. I think they're all good except for Dan Halley, who is an absolute scumbag. And, I mean, there is nobody who would have looked at Dan Halley and Alex Paluzzi, the 40-year person on the Parks and Recreation Department, and said, let me choose Halley. That has nothing to do with qualifications. It has nothing to do with people saying, let me pick a better candidate. That has everything to do with an extra couple thousand people coming in and saying, I'm voting for a D no matter what. That's all that is. And that's it. And you couldn't come to a conclusion on First Selectman. You couldn't read the resumes of Josh Brooks and Jeff Villette and even give Brooks a callback. If you saw his speeches at meetings, you wouldn't give him a callback. This has nothing to do with qualifications. There's an extra 1,400 voters who showed up, and that's how it works. I think the RTM is going to be absolutely dominated by Democrats. I can't see who won in each district. Paluzzi lost, which tells you everything you need to know. I mean, look, there's some good people here. I think the Board of Ed people are good people. I think I can't. The problem with Brooks, I'm all set. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you for everything.
The problem with Brooks isn't that he's not a good guy. Josh Brooks is a good man, but qualifications is a serious question. He does have a good second selectman, who's a good person, former police officer, police captain too. The names are escaping me right now. And then, I don't know. It could be interesting when it comes to appointments on where he will go, because I know he's more of a moderate. Will he stick with his party, or will he, put some moderate people on town boards? I'm worried about the Board of Finance a lot, because I worry that Joe Mooney says, I'm out. Let's see. Okay, are there any other questions? Is there anything I can answer for anybody?
So that's on the Board of Ed.
Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Josh is great. I hope he stands up to the people like Schwanfelder and Hartwell, who have not acted in the best interest of town. Schwanfelder has a terrible history. Hartwell has come in and started wars with businesses, and he's just blatantly dishonest. I hope Josh Brooks stands up to those people. I don't have high hopes for that, but that's my hope. My hope is that he listens. You know, Uncta Ross did not leave this town in great shape. There were town meetings with arguments and fights and a ton of projects that weren't getting done. The people behind Josh have no track record of getting this stuff done. And how does it affect our men in blue? I don't think so. So, is there a part of me that hopes, okay, Josh, let's see what you can do? Yeah, and I'll root for you. But there's nothing in this past that has shown me that's going to be the case. And there's nothing so far that has shown me he's going to be strong enough to stand up against these elements within his own party. And by the way, if you're calling Valletta turncoat for becoming a Republican, Schwanfelder was a longtime Republican. He didn't win a nomination. Cosgrove got it, so he went and switched his party. So I don't want to hear any of that crap. I don't think we're all screwed. I mean, listen. Will he support the police? I mean, the police are going to do what the police are going to do. Josh said he wants to increase police funding for speeding. Okay, fine. Again, you hire a bunch of cops, and we have been hiring cops and firefighters anyway, but you hire more, that's a recurring cost. Alex did not win on the Board of Ed. No, this was a massive Trump sweep in Branford, and just how it goes. That's what they were after. So for first selectman, it looks like it's about a 300 vote difference. Probably won't trigger any recount. BOE, all the Democrats won. So if you're wondering, let me go to BOE. I mean, Brooks's daughter won on the RTM. She's never been to a meeting in her life. You have people. Why are they yelling? I mean, you have in the 4th district, they just killed it in the 4th. Yeah, this has, you know, the sad part is you kind of tell yourself if you do a really good job, Branford is in the best fiscal shape it can be in. It is the envy of almost every town in the state. And you still had, you know, your state reps going out and supporting Brooks. And it's just disgusting. It's just, this is what politics is. It's one of the bad nights of politics. And I hope, well, it's not about fiscal discipline. I don't think Josh is going to cut spending anywhere. Josh is going to spend. That's part of the problem, is that his whole policy, everything he's talked about is don't be as conservative with your budgeting and give a senior tax break, give more money, raises for town employees, police, and fire too. Now that kind of violates a bunch of union contracts, but so what? The problem with that is that may sound great if you're a town employee. Those are compounded raises. So you might get a raise, that's great. It's going to be higher every year, that's compounded. So your savings goes very, very fast. And we've been lucky that our winters have been mild. We've been lucky that there's been no storms. We've been lucky that we haven't been dependent on FEMA money. Nothing about this election makes sense except when you realize anti-Trump sentiment dominated everything. He posted, well, I called it,
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for
Let's
being
gonna
here
speak.
tonight. Unfortunately, it's not the results that we're looking for, and I know everybody's out there wondering what transpired. we're trying to put our finger on it, but in simple terms, what we saw tonight, we brought a lot of voters out. Most of you know there's not a lot of controversy in this town with issues. We're well managed. Jamie and his team have done a great job over the last 12 years. But we kind of relate what we see to the National Republican Party with Donald Trump in office. I'm not a Trump supporter. Our team's not a Trump supporter, but we got pulled into that wave of people that are not happy with what's going on around the world and in Washington. So I did concede to Josh. I wished him luck, and I look forward to still working with the town and he as we move forward. We're going to regroup. We're going to see the direction that we have to go in. We had a great team, and I want to thank everybody that ran on the ticket. I want to thank Victoria, Ed Creed, who are on the top of the ticket right now. And I want to thank my wife, my partner in this adventure, and Carrie. Thank you. It's all good, don't worry, it's all good. I don't want to forget my children who helped out and supported me, Jeff Jr., Melissa, Andrew, Sandra. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my brothers Tom, Chris, and my sister Anne Marie. So thank you. To all my friends, especially those that hosted meet and greets and try to get the word out. To my finance chair, Nick Torello, who helped us raise money so we can get this campaign off the ground, and everybody that donated to this campaign. We thought we had a good platform, which I still believe we did, with reasonable budgets, fair tax base, and moving the school systems and other things forward in Brantford. So I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate your help, whether you made a phone call to me or a member of my team made a donation, said hi. It was a little challenging. Today was pretty interesting at the polls. It was my first time really out campaigning and working. Got a lot of favorable comments. We also got some negative comments. So put it all together. We're going to look at the results and see what we have to do to regroup and hopefully come back in the future. Last but not least, I want to thank my campaign chair, Billy Naskovich, who helped me pull this together. He deserves a round of applause. I think his wife Jen helped out in the background too. She's not here tonight, but he did a great job. Billy's been doing this for a long time. He's a little befuddled, and we're going to dig in. But again, I thank everybody. I think I've said it. Have a couple more cookies, food, whatever. Have a drink downstairs, and I really thank you very much. Thank you.
No, Jeff will be third selectman. Thank you so much for the compliments, guys. Listen, we're still going to cover stuff. We're still going to talk about it. And we're still going to stay on top of this. But it's going to be a tough couple years. You have people that have been waiting to get in power for a long time. The real question is, does Jeff have the backbone to stand up to the people in his own power that will now have access they didn't have before? And after what Jamie did and set this town right, I remember what was happening. I remember what happened to the town before Jamie. I hope it doesn't go back to that, but it's tough. It's a tough night. And I know what the games Hartwell plays. I know what Tracy Everson does. I know what Kurt Schwanfelder does. I've seen the lies. I've covered it in real time. And it's going to be interesting. And I want to believe in Josh. Nothing in his history tells me that he's going to be that person. I wish he was. I think he's a good man. I think he's better than the people around him. But it's going to be an interesting couple years here. I'll do my best still covering it. Guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And on that note, I will call it a night. Thanks for joining me.